Right in.
All right. Welcome, everyone. I'll get everybody a minute to get into the room here. I've turned off the waiting room so new people coming in will be able to jump right into the discussion. So, okay, well, welcome everybody. My name is Radha Patel, and you're joining us for Single to Shadi's, one of our virtual events. We like to have events throughout the month that are community focused, that allow you guys to ask questions, learn from one another, learn from our guests. And we are so delighted for this month's talk to be featuring one of my favorite dating internet personalities. Her name is Amrutha Sridhar, and you might have seen her on social media by the name Curry Bradshaw. Shah being like the Indian version. And tonight's event, we're calling it the Curry Bradshaw Dating Diaries. So, why Amrutha? Why dating diaries? Where did this come from? Amrutha says that she is a brown girl just documenting her dating saga, wondering, are her standards too high? Or does everybody out here just suck? We're going to talk a little bit about dating, how to be happy being single, and just everything that involves in the day to day that is the current modern dating landscape. So, with that, Amrutha, welcome. We're so excited to have you.
Thank you so much for having me here. I'm really just so excited for this and this great opportunity to just talk to everyone and hopefully hear other people's stories and input as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. So everybody, we are a small, intimate group today. So we're going to get into the nitty gritty. We're going to start by learning a little bit about Amrita, why she started this, what her goals are with the platform. But then we're going to get into the juicy. We really want to hear from you all. Amrita's working on a really fun project coming up. She's looking for stories. And we want this to be a place where you guys can learn from one another as well, with us just being your guides. So if you feel comfortable, you can get on camera. Otherwise, we've got our fabulous events manager, Utkarsh, who's in the chat, kind of managing that for us as well. So with that, let's kick it off. Oh, and this session is being recorded for future use. So if you guys are not comfortable with your faces on camera, that's totally fine. Okay, so with that, Amrita, Curry
Yeah.
Bradshaw? What is this? What's going on?
Well, if you don't know about the show, the very famous and popular HBO show Sex and the City, the main character is named Carrie Bradshaw, and she's a columnist who writes about like pretty much her, sex and dating and all of that. And so every episode kind of, ends with, and so I was left wondering, like, like this experience, that experience, and just wondering like what does everything have to do with like dating and life and all this other stuff. And there's always, some guy and some story, and either we love him or we don't. And so I started thinking of like, oh my God, like I just want to like tell people about these experiences because if you're single, you probably heard from other friends, so you're next, right? Like you're good. Like everyone else is married. You're next. Like, why aren't you dating? Who are you dating? With it? And I'm like, not like I haven't tried. I've done my fair share of trying, and some of these guys are just like not fitting the bill, just not cutting it. And so, like, I don't know how to make you believe that, like, I'm trying. It's not that I don't think I'm a catch. I'm out here trying, and some of them just I have stories for you. So that's kind of how this got started. Was I started off on my personal page, taking my friends along, being like, I'm going on this date, and this is why I like the guy, and then I'll go on the date, and afterwards I'll be like, okay, it didn't go so well. Here's what happened, and explain kind of what happened. And so from that, friends started being like, these are hilarious stories. Started telling other people, oh my God, you should follow her. And my Instagram was private. And so all of a sudden I started to realize I had like such random people in my Instagram who were just following me for these stories. So then I was like, you know what? Let's just go public. Let's do this Carrie Bradshaw style, but I can't be Carrie Bradshaw. There's gotta be a Curry joke in there somewhere. And so that's how Curry Bradshaw, spelled the Indian way, Shah spelled the Indian way, kind of came to be. And then I just started saying, okay, come on these dates with me, or let me tell you about these dates. And then from going on these dates and having all these stories, every now and then, like I needed a break or I was just tired of dating. And so it also evolved into like a self like just like a personal journey through dating, through self-development and all this other stuff. And so that's the purpose. Or the purpose is actually letting other people, like letting other women in my situation know that you're not alone. Like I'm out here too. Like I'm out here dating, I'm out here struggling, I'm out here trying to do the self-love, the self-fulfillment work as well. And so like you're definitely not alone in this. So if this reaches you, like you must be feeling the same way as me. So know that you're not alone. And that is the true purpose of me becoming Curry Bradshaw.
I
It's
love
just
it. And I think that she handed you a gift in this last season when she's wearing that Indian outfit, and it just looks perfect as your avatar on the Instagram. So for
yeah.
anybody, you guys on the call, please do follow Amrutha. It's at Curry Bradshaw, spelled Shah. It's in all of our stuff. We also link to it in our Instagram. But she is really, what started off as something humorous. I think, as you mentioned, you've evolved into creating community, resonating with people to show them that they're not alone. And then I also think that we have a lot of men on the call today. I think you have a pretty good men representation. I think it's showing them as well that how is it like here out here for women in these streets, and what are maybe I'm doing that is an ick or a cringe that I never realized. So I think that your account does a lot for everybody. Yeah.
Yeah. I love the fact that there are guys here. Hi boys.
So let's dive in. Obviously, being brown, the name of your handle,
Yeah.
culture is so big for us being brown and trying to date. Let's just start with some unique challenges. And in the chat, please drop in some of yours as well. But Amrita, what are some crazy things that you've already kind of seen and started been talking about?
Yeah, I started to think about this and I feel like everything just kind of funneled back to one looming kind of like phrase, and it's this log kya kahenge mindset that, if anybody knows about like where that comes from Hassan Minaj, like talking about that, like this log kya kahenge, like what are people gonna think if you don't become a doctor, if you don't go to college, if you don't get married by a certain time, if you don't have children by a certain time, what will other people think? And that is such a standard that gets held by our community and our society that you must do these things. Like, first of all, also don't date in school. Don't date while you're in school because school is paramount and most important, right? So don't date while you're in school, and then go to college, get a good job, become a doctor, lawyer, engineer, whatever, right? Get a good job, then get married, okay? Then have
Immediately.
a child, yeah.
Yeah.
Then have children, and then that is the way life is, But God forbid you don't do any of those, or at least not in the timeline that your parents wish for you. Then it becomes, well, what will people say if you're not this because we told people you wanted to be a doctor and you said at 7 years old you wanted to be a doctor. Now you're not a doctor, you know,
Yeah.
or whatever that is. And so that low mindset that like being so worried about what your parents will say to people, your parents being worried about what they will say to people, what kind of answer. I feel like that can hold people in such a rut. Um,
It's
and I
guilt.
think,
We feel
yeah,
so
and
much
that
guilt.
guilt, it is a lot of guilt because it's almost like if you don't get your parents' validation for your choices, then you're just left with like, I'm such a disappointment. And I'm here to tell you, like, it's best for you to fight for what is important for you. And I think I mean, I'm a millennial, but I think some Gen X and millennials started to realize that, like, actually, it's not helping me to worry so much about what my parents want for me, and I need to get what I need for me.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I think as more generations start to date and, they're just kind of fighting that norm of like, I'm going to do what's right for me. And like, if you don't get it, too bad, so sad, versus like, I know my generation has really, at least I can speak from my experience as a millennial, that like, we kind of really fought about it. Like, I know I had some internal struggles. And then I eventually had to be like, you know what, mom, or dad, like, if you push this on me, this is how it's going to make me feel. This is how I'm already feeling about the pressure of X, Y, and Z. So like, if you do this to me, like, I may end up resenting you and hate you. And I really don't want to do that. So please don't push marriage on me. Like, please give me some time. It's not that I don't want it. It's just like, please give me some time for this. I'm going to figure it out. I promise you. And it will come when it's supposed to come. So I think that kind of grasp of reality of like, I need to do what's best for me. And I promise you, I won't do anything to disappoint you on
Right.
purpose. I'm just trying to do what's best for my life. And I don't really care what like Simonti is gonna say, or like this uncle is gonna say, like that is not their, I'm not their daughter and it's not their life to worry about. I'm gonna worry about myself and you just trust that you raised me right and that I'm gonna do what's best for me. So I think that's my spiel about like I think it all funnels back up to like look yakang and like try to fight it.
Yeah, yeah. And I think like that look and get it is ultimately from a scarcity or a fearful based mindset, even for our parents, like because they just want to fit in. They don't want to rock the boat. And if now our kids are not fitting in, what does that say about my status and where's my place? So it's
Yeah.
all from a negative standpoint. I agree. Yeah. You touched a lot about it, like let me, trust that I'm making my right decision, trust that I know my timeline. But what is it with these timelines, this pressure, the dreaded, fertility and baby timeline? What? Oh,
Yeah.
that's all I hear about.
Yeah. I think it's what our parents, especially like I have boomer parents. And so again, a lot of my experience will come from that, but that's what my parents know, right? That's what our parents know because that was what was told for them by the previous generation. And then if you notice what we want, especially like it seems to be some a little different, right? Because maybe we come with, we have more freedoms, more rights, TBD with the election, but that's a personal comment.
Yeah.
But we have certain rights and we have certain liberties, and our parents are like, cool, you get to do this thing that I didn't get to do, whatever that nugget is. And those, I think they can understand the timeline only to a certain capacity because they were fed a particular timeline. So for them to be fed a particular timeline, they're like, okay, I can modify the timeline, but like maybe give or take 5 years. And so then when it takes 10 years, they're like, what have I done wrong? How have I, like, what is going on? Why can't you get it together? What am I doing where I can't get it together for you as a parent kind of thing? And I think it just comes from like just maybe a little bit of compassion to like especially immigrant parents or just like old parents of just an obviously of a different generation, trying to understand like where is this coming from, what are you so worried about, please explain to me, and I'm going to try to help you through this and try to understand things from my perspective. And if I mean, if a parent is not willing to sit down and hear you out or talk to you about it, there's not really much you can do, unfortunately. It's like therapy. You can't force someone to therapy who doesn't want to be therapized. And that's just kind of the reality of things. So like if a parent doesn't want to hear you out and doesn't really care what you have to say about these timelines and how it's making you feel pressured and uncomfortable, and you're going to end up resenting them. And if they're like, I don't care, you're wrong, again, don't worry about looking, do what's right for you. And that's the best, I feel like that's the best thing I could tell someone.
I'm going to push you actually a little further on this. Forget parents. What about like in dating your scenarios yourself, right? Like we're getting dating into much later in life, right? Gen Z, especially, they're all in situationships, not even actually seriously dating till they're 24, 25 years old. So by the time they're thinking marriage, you're already 30, which in my generation is unheard of. You're like a little bit, after me, but and so timelines are changing and flexing. Yet
Mhm.
what I hear all the time, right, is like men looking for their family planning timelines. I don't want to put words in anybody's mouth, but what about from like your own experiences or what you've been hearing from the community you've built? How are women having to handle the pressures coming at them from even their peers in the dating scenario?
Yeah, and I will even tell you, like, two of my absolute best friends growing up are one's about to pop any day now with her first kid. And the other one also like recently got pregnant as a total surprise. Like she wasn't planning it. And now I'm like, really? Really? Like once again, like as though I didn't already kind of feel singled out, not like on purpose, but like, oh, kind of like, oh, now even these friends are all getting married, and like my pool of single friends is getting smaller and smaller. It does it. I'm not going to pretend like it doesn't make an impact and doesn't affect people. Like it does. You can be as positive as you want to be and as optimistic as you want to be, but sometimes it does hit and it does hurt. And so those kind of timelines and those pressures are very real, like you're saying. So Do we mind muting everyone? Thank you. So sorry, because I just get really easily distracted with those noises. So from that timeline perspective, like this might be such a cliche to say, but like everyone really truly does have their own timeline. There are certain things that I've learned in life from dating and even my career choices and things like that, where like there are certain things that happen the way that they're supposed to happen, and it's not necessarily your fault. You can be doing everything right. It's how I really got into astrology because it's like you could be doing everything right by the books. I'm like, I'm cute, I'm funny, I like to eat, I like to cook, I like to, work out, I like to have drinks, I like to make drinks, I like to dress up, I like to stay in, I like to go out. And I'm like, who doesn't want to write this down? I don't get it. I'm like, I'm out there, I'm being direct, I'm being shy, I'm being cute, I'm flirty. Yet no one has locked this down. Why? I can't be doing everything wrong.
No, no.
It is not possible, right? You can be doing absolutely everything wrong. So the only thing I was left to believe is that there must be a higher power or something that's saying that, like, you're not supposed to have this right now. There's a reason for it. You may not understand it right now, but trust in the divine timing that like everything's going to happen to you in a particular timeline for a particular reason. And so one way I would encourage like kind of figuring that out for yourself is think about the past 5 to 10 years. Write down a bunch of things that did not go the way that you wanted it to, but what did it result in? And so like I'll give a couple of examples. I really wanted to go to Drexel University. Why? I can't even remember. But I
Go
didn't.
Dragons.
I ended up going to Rutgers University, which I absolutely did not want to do. I'm from New Jersey, if nobody caught that. And so I just didn't want to go to Rutgers University, but the recession happened, circa 2008, 2009. My dad was going to lose his job. My mom was going to lose her job. And they were like, hey, Drexel is a private institution that's going to be a lot in loans. We encourage you to pick something more local just because it will only help you with loans and whatnot. And if you ever wanted to transfer out, you can. Fine. I was so upset. I don't get to go to the college that I wanted to go to. I got in and everything. I bought the shirt, I bought the sweatshirt, and I was really, I didn't get to go to the college. But what happened as a result? I I became like president of a local Future Business Leaders of America chapter. And then not only did I get to become president in the school, I got to build it up to a place of notoriety and then ended up becoming a state vice president and a national vice president and got so much experience from that and met so many people and got a lot out of that experience from something that I didn't even want to begin with. It did not go my way. It is not what I wanted. But all this other stuff happened. And so when my advisor was like, did you still want to transfer out? I'm like, and redo all of this? No. Things are going really well. Like deans recognize me and they know the fact that I got this award for the school and all this other stuff that I did. So I'm like, why would I go to another school and start all over again? No, no. We're
Amrutha, you've
staying
been building
here.
community since college. Look at that. That's
I
amazing.
do what I do. So that's just one example of like, just think back to like, you wanted something and you didn't get it. But what did come out of it? And understand that not everything happens in the timeline that you want it to happen at. And if it does, awesome. Yay. But if it doesn't, that's okay because I'm sure something else great came out of it because that was what was destined to happen.
I agree. I think 90% of dating is timing, right? Timing in your life, timing in that other person's life, timing in the world. It's very much. And yesterday, so for those of you who don't know, we have a monthly book club. And yesterday, the author, we were talking about her, it was called Anagram Destiny. And I asked her, how much of destiny, like, why did you bring that up in your book? And she mentioned the same thing. There has got to be a through line. There's something that's happening. If you're religious, right? We believe in karmas. There's like, there is
Yeah.
something that is guide. There's no way everything is random. And we're not saying you leave it to chance. You obviously have to do your part because that's part of the story, but you have to trust in the process as long as you're in the process.
Yeah. Trust in yourself. You're doing the best that you can with the resources that you have and the knowledge that you have. I think another thing, and I think I even mentioned this on my profile, because Single to Shadi did something with Dil Mill and posted about a lot of different like dating, things and feelings, and one of them was um, like it's okay to like something about like feeling sorry for yourself or like, being sad about certain things. And I'm like, the beauty of that is that like we all make these choices, we all make particular choices with the knowledge that we have at that time. Now, it's also possible that like we'll get new knowledge and then our choice or perspective would change and we'd be like, second time around, I wouldn't make the same choice because I know something different. And I think that's the beauty of a timeline as well, is that like I would like to think most of us are not making the same exact mistakes we made when we were 20, 25. I'm 33, I'm about to be 34 in less than a month. And I have definitely grown and evolved and changed. And if I haven't, like something's wrong with me, And so like that timeline is so essential, and that through line of just like seeing, oh, okay, I've evolved and I would make different choices today than I would back then is so important. And everyone should give themselves more credit where that credit is due of like, okay, maybe not everything is working out the way that I want it to, but it's going to be fine as long as I continue to better myself and as long as I continue to believe that things are going to be better. You can't just sit around and expect things to get better. You
Right.
still have to do a little bit of work towards it.
I love the reflection exercises. It really, really helps. So, folks in the audience, please share in the chat. Have you guys ever had cultural issues pop up? We'd love to discuss that in Amrita's perspective as well. But let's move on a little bit. I want to talk. We've been talking about destiny and horoscopes and all. Get into the woo-woo of it all. Let's talk about the self-worth, the feelings of, am I good? Am I doing the right things? So, you talked about like having a positive intent, but it sometimes you get bogged down. You go on your third bad date in a row and it's like, why? Is it me? What's the issue? How do
Mhm.
you, or what advice do you have to women out here saying like, dust yourself off. Let's, try again. Let's keep going.
Yeah. Take breaks when you need it. I mean, that's completely valid and completely fair. You owe nobody, you don't owe anybody anything. Like I have literally had matches on an app and then be like, hey, I'm sorry. I know I could give you a chance, but I'm frankly so burnt out. And I'm just not in the mood to go on dates right now. So I'm gonna pause or I'm gonna like remove this app or whatever. And if you're still around, if and when I come back on, I'll reach out then. Because at the end of the day, if that one person or two, however many matches were destined for me, they're still gonna be there. And it's still gonna happen because that's what destiny is. That's how this timeline woo woo shit works,
Yeah, yeah.
right? Like if that person was still gonna be there, they're gonna be there. And so like I'm not gonna worry too hard about like, oh, but what if they were gonna be there, they were gonna be there, even if I took 1 year break, 1 month break, 1 day break, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
If I'm supposed to meet that person, I'm gonna meet that person. And so that's one thing that I've done. And there was another time I took a break where I was talking to this one guy and I just really thought it was a slow burn situation. And, it was long distance and we had talked on the phone a lot and I thought he was just really sweet. And I was like, cool. And I kept making a joke also, like, because I didn't have health insurance at the time.
Yeah.
And he was like, How are you out here living life without insurance, without health insurance? And I was like, if we got married, I could just use your health insurance.
Yeah.
Problem solved. And I might have maybe made that joke one too many times that eventually he started to pull back. And then I was like, dude, what are you doing? Like now I'm calling you out because like conversation was going really well. And then now you're like pulling back and like evading me and ghosting me and like what, like this is so immature of you. And he was like, I think I've realized that I'm not sure if I actually want to get married. It's just more of like I don't want to be alone. And he was like, also, you live so far away. How are we supposed to get to know each other? And I'm like,
I
you
love
knew
when the excuses come out afterwards. We hear it
I
all
was
the
like,
time.
you knew we were long distance from day one because we talked about it. So nothing has changed in that aspect. And two, I'm sorry, what now? You're not sure you want to get married. You just know you don't want to be alone. And in order to not be alone, you have to talk to people. Okay. All right. And I was like, you know what? I'm done. I'm done with you. I'm done with men. I'm done with dating. And I was just like, close everything. I'm taking a break. And I'm just gonna do me and just live my life. And from living my life, I actually met two really, really wonderful men who did change my entire perspective on dating. And if you want to know those stories, I'm not going to get into them right now, but they're on my profile. It's Salsa Guy and Mr. DJ. So go listen to those stories and all the tea behind those and how those came to be, how I met them, what happened, why they changed my perspective a little bit, and then how it ended.
Salsa guy and what was DJ guy?
Mr. DJ.
Mr. DJ. Okay. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to listen to these stories. I get it. Taking a break as needed. As a date coach, though, I would advocate be constructive, have a plan and a set timeline, how long you're gonna go on a break. Deleting an app off your phone is not the same as deleting your account. Remember that as well. So just be careful with your breaks.
That's true.
But that's good to have breaks for burnout. What about when it's self-doubt? What if when that turns to like, is it me? Am I doing something wrong? How do you
Yeah.
handle that?
Yeah. One of the pieces of advice I recently gave a friend, and if anybody watched the Netflix show Nobody Wants This, um, you cannot scare away the right person. The right person is going to be able to handle you. Like Noah says it to Joanne, I can handle you. Stop trying to push me away. I can handle you. I'm not afraid. I'm here. And is that not what just made all of us just go, yes, I needed to hear that. I needed to hear that so badly, right? But it's happening to two characters who are like already in really happy relationships, show that they're in, and so I just told this friend that I was like, you need to stop worrying about did I bring up the conversation of, hey, are you trying to turn this into a serious relationship 4 days in? Like, I don't think that's insane.
It's
Like,
like when people tell me that I have like this one line in my bio, they want me to take it out. They think they're turning men away. I'm like, I don't think one line in your bio is turning dudes away. And if they are, you
no,
don't want them anyway.
yeah, yeah, exactly that. Like, you cannot say the wrong thing to the right person. And so I think that's another thing is that if you just believe that, like, just tell it to yourself, write it down on your mirror, put it on a sticky note, put it in your car, wherever, put it as your phone background, like, whatever will help remind you that you cannot say the wrong thing to the right people. Like, think about the things that you might have said to your friends between like the years of 20 and 30, so between the years of 16 and 20, even, like if you've had friends for that long. Um, you cannot scare away the friends also that are meant to stay with you because even if you say the wrong thing to your friend, I'm I don't know about everybody else's friends, but my friends are going to be like, hey, so remember when you said this? Didn't super love that. Now I know you mean well, but I just wanted to tell you that it hurt my feelings, even though I know you and I know what you might have intended to say, but it came off in a way that was like really uncomfortable or maybe whatever petty or insert reason here. And so it's like, oh, okay, healthy conversation. I didn't realize you're right. I did mean it in, a completely innocent or jokey way or whatever it is. But thank you for telling me. And now I know maybe I won't say that to you, or maybe I won't joke that way, or maybe I will keep my opinion to myself or something like that. And so same thing with a partner, whoever you date, if you as long as it's like truly not like an effed up thing to say, that's different from just being like, hey, I want to know, do you want to have children or are you interested in like what's your timeline like? Do you want to take this to the next level? And at what point is that decision being made? Do you feel like it's a month? Do you feel like it's 2 months? And if they are scared off by it, that's their loss, not
Right.
yours.
Yeah,
Because you
absolutely.
know your attraction, you know what you bring to the table, and if they don't want it, that's too bad, so sad for them.
And even establishing intimacy, right? Like it's fine to talk about it openly and make sure everybody's
Absolutely,
comfortable on the right page about all of it.
absolutely. Oh
Yeah.
my God, absolutely, especially that stuff. And
Yeah.
it can be literally anything: intimacy, dating, children. Like, when do we introduce ourselves to our parents? When do we introduce each other to friends? Like all of that. How long do we want to be in our bubble versus, whatever. How quickly do we go on a vacation or a trip together? It can be literally anything, but again, you cannot say the wrong thing to the right person.
Yeah. I'm being told by our producer that we're being too quiet. We need to have some more fun and energy. So I don't know who's on the call tonight, but guys, liven up. Do you have some questions for us? Jump in. I see our favorite spy, Jaspina, is also on the call. Welcome. Rohan has a question. He says, thanks for sharing your insights. I'm aware that South Asian Desi women have expressed concerns about dating South Asian Desi men because of fears around mama's boy energy or opposite, acting like they're becoming the controlling brown father. So, do
Mhm.
you have guidance for Desi men, South Asian men, as to how to like not maybe not just demonstrate these behaviors to Ron? What I think you're trying to ask is like how to maybe put women at ease, like trust the behaviors I'm exhibiting versus putting all these tropes on me as a man.
Yeah, yeah. I love this question so much, Rohan. So thank you. Um, of course, it's me, and so I've had this conversation with someone before. Um, the thing about this is that I think the South, like they see women of, especially like again, I can speak to my generation and maybe even beyond. I think our not only did our mothers help us become really independent, but our fathers contributed as well. And like I know my dad, like I know I helped my dad build furniture, and it was just as easy. It was like IKEA, these are the instructions. Here, hold this. You want to use a hammer? Fine, hammer this, screw this in. And I was like, cool. And then when I was in college and I was dating someone who was like a couple years older than me, I'm like, hey, can you help me build this dresser? And he's like, I've never built anything before. And I'm like, you are a firstborn son of an Indian family. You don't know how to build shit, and yet my father like taught me how to screw in a screw. Like what?
Yeah.
With something like that where like the woman has become maybe almost hyper independent and is like able to do shit for themselves, um it can be so easy to be like, nah, it's fine, I got it, you don't need to do anything. But I think I know what I would love in a situation like that, and I've been this person before, and I've learned with experience that like, while yes, there is a lot of things I can do by myself because I am independent and I was taught by my parents how to take care of myself, it's really nice when a man is like, hey, I know you're totally capable, but I would like to help you with this. Can you just sit down for a second and let me take care of it? I want to take care of you. And it doesn't mean that I don't think you can do it. I will absolutely ask you for help if I can't get to it. Or if you feel like I'm doing it wrong, you let me know. I want to make it right for you. And like, I'm getting tingles just saying it myself. Like, if a man says, I'm like, thank you. That's so nice. And that is something that I learned by dating some people who like did the little things that I was like, oh, like charging my phone. He's like, I noticed your battery was low. Thank you. Unplugging my phone and handing it to me. It's at 100%. Oh, I didn't even ask for it. Thank you. And things like that of just being just letting a woman like understanding that a woman can, like, especially Desi women are maybe at this point where they're hyper independent and so used to that, and maybe so used to or expected to be let down, that maybe give her a little space to be like, hey, I understand. I want you to also know that I have no problem doing these things for you. And I want to be different from my father, who is probably like, hey, can you come and make me chai? Like I would like to make you chai. Is that okay? I can't speak for all women. I'm not going to blanket statement this, but I'm pretty sure if you figure out the right things to say to that right woman at the right time and the right moment, she's going to go, oh, well, damn. That would be really nice if somebody else did the work for me, because I could do it myself if I wanted to, but now I don't have to.
So can I say what this is?
Yeah.
As women, we need wives. This is what men want
I
in
love
a
that.
female, right? This is what men want in their partner. A woman who's going to anticipate their needs, be supportive, be there with a comforting word when they need it, right? Because so I just want to note what you said was if we're in our masculine as women,
Yes.
it's not saying that we need men to be feminine, but we need you to lean into that nurturing role to show us that you're not like like our fathers. Who I almost said alpha, but it's not that our fathers were alpha. I'm sorry, but they were just the expectations were such that these roles
Yeah.
were defined. So to go back to Rohan's question, I think what you're saying is that demonstrate the behavior and anticipate needs and showcase that you're different. We don't need you to tell us, but by showing us, we'll intuit that.
I thank you. Thank you for making everything I said more concise and easier. But yes, very much so. Actions do speak louder than words. Don't just tell me you can do it. Show me, and maybe don't like yell at me about it. When I say yell at me, like don't be aggressive, like, and I can cook. And it's like, no, just like wait for a moment where it's like, hey, I'm not, maybe I'm not a great cook, but I'd love to have you over for dinner one day and maybe we can cook together.
Even better. I don't
Yeah.
like hypotheticals and aspirations because everybody lies in dating. Even better is when you're going to a second date, bring her a cupcake from something that you, right? Like I was baking cupcakes. Yeah, I thought you would like one, right? Show
I
that
went,
you,
I dated a guy, and this was a salsa guy, and he one day showed up with flowers. He was like, I was in Trader Joe's, I saw these flowers, and they made me think of you, so I thought you should have them. And I was like, who are you?
yeah.
Like I had never had such lovely treatment before. And I was like, are you like a 75-year-old man in disguise? Like who does this? But I
Yeah.
was so like touched by this tiny action that he was like, I thought about you when I was grocery shopping because I saw these flowers. Here, have them. Thank you so much.
Yes, exactly. That thoughtfulness, that connection. That's what we say on dating apps, right? You don't just say good morning, beautiful, hello, like this
I
generic word.
hate that.
Yeah,
I hate
we're
that
going
so
to
much.
dating apps next, but I want to add one more point. And folks in the chat, my question to you guys, based on what we've been hearing, how do you prioritize yourselves or your happiness when it comes to dating? Are you guys taking breaks? Are you telling people to shove it when you need, right? Like, how are you doing that? So back to our question, I just want to flip it on the head one more time. As a woman
Mm,
who is very much alpha, CEO, like doing my thing, running a family, right? I run to
yeah.
business, if you will, if you I learned very quickly, like, I need to lean into my feminine when it comes to my husband and my family. I can't be barking orders at them. I can't, like, and that is how I not was raised, but I saw my mother being very dominant, not overpowering, but she was just very dominant. Like, she was very much the supervisor mentality. She worked outside the house. So I'm
Yeah.
now seeing that in myself. And I learned probably like 5-ish years ago when I started really getting to the business side of matchmaking that I have to let my husband be a man. Like I have to let him like I could get an
Yeah.
oil change, but now I make him do it. And I'll be like that whiny cutesy, like, please can you do it? Because
Yeah.
I know that should be his domain and he enjoys it and that's what he
Yeah.
can do for me. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll tell you also, if I can also throw out an example. Um, there's a guy I went on one date with him and it wasn't going to work. We wanted different things, but we have now become friends, like genuine friends. And I was like, hey, can I borrow a drill? Because I really don't want to rent it from Home Depot or whatever for like what is probably going to be a 20-minute project just to put up some curtains. Like, just really don't want to deal with it. Then I was like, actually, can I borrow you with the drill? Like, do you mind helping me do this? And he was like, yeah, no problem. Like I'll be over there. I'll be in that side of town this weekend. I can bring it by and I'll take care of it. Then I was like, okay, cool. I thought we were going to like do it together. And he just started taking care of everything. And I was like, can I help with something? And he was like, I'll let you know if I need help. And a man just did the man thing of like power tools and build things for a lady. And
Yeah.
was no, it wasn't even like romantically inclined or like anything like that. And I was just like, wow, this was really nice to not have to be like, I got to take care of it and I got to make sure I drill right. And somebody who already knew what they were doing just came and did it and I didn't have to pay them and I didn't have to sleep with them or I didn't feel compelled. Like just a dude came and took care of it out of like, hey, yeah, sure, I'm happy to help. I'm happy to do the dude thing. And I'm like, nice. This
Nice.
is really cool. This feels nice to not have to be like, I've got to figure out everything by myself. Um, so
Yeah.
yeah.
We got an anonymous question. I'd like
Ooh.
to maybe address that before we get into the apps. So she's asking, how do you ask nicely about someone's intentions when it comes to their visa status? It can be a complicated question because this person feels that sometimes they attract the opposite gender, feeling that they're only interested for a green card. How do you figure this out from the go? I have my answer, but I would love to hear your take on it.
That is so fascinating because I haven't come across, this is one thing that I have not come across where like I'm worrying about someone's green card status. And I think for me, um, unless there's a specific instance that this might have happened to you, I have had an instance where I do know someone else's parents were concerned that their daughter was dating someone who isn't a citizen and was like and fed the narrative that like she probably just wants a green card out of you. And I think that's so damaging because it doesn't allow us to trust people. And I think that can be so it can just deeply root and hurt just thought processes of like if you're never going to give someone a chance because is it possible that yes they just want a green card out of you? It is possible. People get conned daily. You know, there's a sucker born every minute, et cetera, et cetera. It is very possible. But also, what if that wasn't the case? What if you truly believed in your heart and soul that that is not the case and it never happens? Like you love this man and he's not a citizen and you get married and he gets a green card and you have the happiest life and the most beautiful marriage with the most wonderful man that was blessed to come into your life and vice versa. That's it. Happily ever after. So, like, why not just believe that everyone's intention is good and pure until they prove it to you otherwise? Because otherwise, we will all drive ourselves crazy thinking that everyone has something out for us. And that is something that I can relate to is, guy buys me flowers and I'm like, you need to relax with how much feelings you have for me. And he's like, I just wanted to get you some flowers. Like, I have no other intention of like, I just wanted to see you smile. That's it.
More
And I'm like, all right, I'm watching you.
More people lie about vaping and smoking than they do about their intentions on status. Let that
Oh,
sink in. More they see people smoke and vape and lie about that than are those out there trying to con you for a green card.
rather with the facts.
So let me tell you, anonymous question. Here's how we do it. My mantra, if anybody knows me, has worked with me, is make dating fun again. We need to date. What did Amrutha say? What was her advice? Give them a chance, go out and meet them. You cannot just assume everybody's out for a green card. And if they are, you should be able to pick up the cues. This is what red flags are for. Are they love bombing you? If you go out in person by day two, are they like, come meet my parents, right? Like you can tell what their intentions are. Also,
Yeah,
if you're
what
dating
that.
somebody, let's say it's an H1B scenario and you're like, he was actually on an F1 that didn't convert or whatever, right? When you're dating them, you're going to talk about work and you're going to talk about careers. And these are the things that you should be probing for and understanding, right? Oh, has an I-140 been filed? Like, if you're so concerned about it, be educated about it and know what to ask for. Practically speaking, all of these new dating apps are adding something called a voice prompt. So a lot of these people, and I tell everybody you should use every inch of real estate on your dating app, including the voice prompt. Listen to the voice prompt. If they have an accent, maybe that's not for you, and just move on, right? I don't think it has to always be that negative, like everybody from the motherland is here to get me type of attitude. Yeah.
Yeah, very much so.
Cool. All right,
If
let's
you
move
if you
on
keep
to.
putting out, yeah, I was just gonna say, if you keep putting out doubt, that's all you'll get.
We're gonna do a stack of affirmations, Amrita. We're gonna like Curry Bradshaw
I'm full of
affirmations.
them.
I love
Full
it.
of them.
Okay, so we have another anonymous question, but I'm gonna wait because I really want to talk about dating apps now,
Okay.
right? Like this is the crux of things.
Yeah.
Everybody says they don't work, but they have to. People are meeting on them.
It's true.
So the biggest question, just gonna start with, how do you get them to work? How are you getting dates on these apps, Amrita?
Um, I have two answers to this. And I'm gonna start with how do I get them to work for me? Um, Women will always get matches. I'm gonna start with that. I have talked to enough guys where they're like, they don't get any matches. So women, I know there are men here, I'll get to you in a second. Women will always get matches, right? We're pretty, we put out a good vibe. Sometimes guys are creepy. So somehow we'll always get matches, right? Even if they're like, I want to see Bob's, like
Yeah.
you're still gonna get a match, right? The numbers game is that like women are still gonna get matches. I can't personally speak to men, but here's what I will say that I'm looking for from a man's profile is what you just said, Radha. Use the real estate. Please write a freaking prompt, answer a question, and stop putting the same generic answers that are funny that like a good flirt to roast ratio. Like, shut the fuck up. Like, I don't want to hear this another time. I really don't like I get it what you're trying to say, like, but please be genuine and like earnest in your profile because even like and please put more than one photo and have it be from the last 365 days. I don't want to see I once matched with a guy and in the background of his photo was a woman with a point and shoot digital camera and like flat iron side bangs. And I was like, this is from like 2010 or even before, to be honest.
Even
So
photo quality nowadays, you can tell how grainy the picture
yeah,
is.
and I was like, this is an old photo. Like, what do you look like now?
Oh, but I look the same. This is like 6 years ago, but I look the same.
I think I look the same as I did back then. So I don't feel the need. I'm like, literally, there's not a single person in your life that can take an updated, you couldn't take an updated selfie. Like you couldn't ask your mother for like take a photo of me. You don't have a sister, you don't have a cousin, you don't have a buddy, you don't have
There's
a
a
bro.
self timer. There's a self timer with your eye
Yeah,
watch.
I'm taking a million pictures all the time. I'm like, now that's a red flag that like, are you alone in your life? Do you hate how you look? Are you trying to con me because you're bald and you're embarrassed rather than just own it and be like, I'm bald and I'm sexy? Like, what are you doing? And now I'm full of doubt of like, who are you? So I'm looking for someone who's earnest and has like really endearing prompts on their page, not just like trying to, again, like good flirt to roast ratio and like, let's go for tacos. I'm like, do you actually like
Generic. I like
tacos? Like, stop, like, I just stop trying so hard to be funny and just be yourself. And please put more than one photo. For me, if a man is not smiling in any of the photos, left. I'm like, do you not laugh? Do you not enjoy life? Like, how will I know that you will laugh at my jokes if I don't see you smile? And my favorite thing to do is see a guy smiling really big in a photo. And I will most like if it's something like Hinge, I will like that photo and be like, I really like your smile. Because like I do, I want to see you smile. I want to see what you're like when you're happy because now I want to envision myself being the one making you happy. What's wrong with that? I hate all the serious selfies or the serious photos of not smiling. I'm like, it doesn't work for me. I'm sorry.
I will
And also
say, don't, but it doesn't work the other way. A guy should never compliment a woman's looks in photos in an opening line.
try not to. I have received like I'm like, oh, I really like your smile. And someone be like, yours is really beautiful as well. And I'm like, thank you. That is a cliche. I'm like, of course, because I presented my best photos. I already know this. But okay, fine, thank you. Now, what can you say after that that will continue to hold my attention, not just you're very pretty? Like anything like your eyes are beautiful, your smile is beautiful, like oof, feriada, like whatever you're gonna say. Like please say something other than my looks. I know I have put so many things in my profile. Please pick one of those things to talk about. They're there for a reason. If it's just, hi, you're beautiful, how's your day going? Kill me already. I hate
Yes.
the I hate that like generic small talk. And I'm like, can we just go to something of like just a little bit more substance? Um, because like again, I put in so much work to like present like of course I look nice. I picked my best photos, all the best angles. Like of course I look nice. That was the whole point of this.
And it's a generic copy and paste. How do I know
Yeah,
this is anything to do with me? It doesn't.
yeah. please pick something from my profile. Because that's what I do. I pick something from their profile to be like, I see this was the thing that you mentioned. Tell me more. Or like, what's your favorite book or whatever. So please do me the same respect
Mhm.
is how I see it. My other thing about dating apps is I have gotten so exhausted from them. I have recently deleted the final one. I was holding on to Hinge for a while. I had it on pause for a little bit. And then I just went, you know what? I don't want this either. I am going to just I'm just going to remove it all from my life because for me, I started to believe that like, I think I'm supposed to meet my person a different way. And so I didn't want to be 1 foot in, 1 foot out with the dating apps. If I don't believe that the dating apps are going to work for me, they're not going to work for me. You have to, that's another thing again about like the timeline and believing. If you believe it's going to work, it's going to work. But if you don't really wholeheartedly believe it's going to work, it's probably not going to work. So listen to your gut. And my gut kept saying like, I don't, it's not working. It's not working. I've tried for years now. And if my gut is telling me like, girl, this is not the answer, I'm like, goodbye. The
Yeah.
apps are not working for me. But they've worked for my friends. The two friends that my like that I had growing up that I said they're both pregnant now, like they both met their husbands off of, Bill Mill.
What I like to say is that dating apps are a tool, okay? It's not that these problems weren't around before dating apps. Maybe not as prevalent. We weren't talking about it,
Mm-hmm.
but there, if you watch an old Seinfeld episode, all they talk about is how dating sucks. So it's not like
This is
we're
not
like
new
living in
candy.
this end times of dating. Somebody asked in the chat, what do we recommend? You've heard both Amrutha and I both say the word hinge multiple times tonight. We are not getting paid. We're not endorsed. Match Group is in Dallas. Maybe they'll do something, but no, Hinge really truly is the best dating app out there right now.
I I really do like the fact that they have so many prompts to pick from. Like you don't have to do all the brain work yourself. You just have to answer the question. And again, please stop answering them. Sheena mentioned like the iced coffee. Like, yes, we get it. You like iced coffee. Everybody does. Like, or matcha. Like, we get it. Like, please put something else.
My favorite Sunday, going for brunch. Really?
Yeah, yeah, but no. Like, please just. I mean, if that's what you really like, fine. But like, please, you can add more
Add
substance.
more. You have so many characters. Yeah, be funny. Do something.
Yeah, yeah, and like that's what I'm saying. That like with Hinge, there are so many prompts. Please use them. Stop putting just one, two things just to get by the bare minimum. It's really annoying.
What are some other red flags when you're looking through a dating app?
Yeah, I talked about not smiling in any photos. I talked about only having one photo. I talked about old photos. Those are definitely for me. I'm just like, no, that's an immediate left. Not filling out a profile, especially on something like Bumble or wherever where it's like a little, about me kind of thing. Like if there's nothing written on there except for like your Instagram handle or something like that, or like DM me if you want to know more. Like get out of here. Stop being lazy with it. So those are all red flags to me. And also the thing that I find to be a red flag is just the same old conversation every day. Hey, good morning. How are you? What's going on today? To me, that's actually relationship talk.
Yeah.
Like when you get into like a like day to day and everything, like morning, like I'm just grabbing my coffee heading into work, like what like that's something like me and my boyfriend are like texting back, maybe texting back and forth of like morning, I just got up, like things are crazy, I'm gonna talk to you later kind of thing.
No, not just that. We just had this with a coaching client of ours where we said every day, it's a long distance. I know we have a long distance question, and every morning he'll wake up and text her, "Good morning. What are you up to today?" Why? You talked to her yesterday. You have nothing to
Nothing
ask her
happened.
about. You should know if anticipating what's happening in her life. You've been talking for 2 weeks.
I'm gonna also add like if she hasn't responded and a timeline that feels comfortable to you, please do not follow up with just a question mark.
Yeah, no double taps, no double messages.
I mean, I am not opposed to double messaging. I'm like, I don't
Only once though.
I don't follow those rules of like, oh, I already texted you last time, so you have to text me back before I can. Like, if I thought of something else to say to you, like, I'm just gonna say it.
No, no, I'm not saying it's for a rule. I'm saying that if they don't respond to that second message, that's your answer, is what I'm trying
Yeah.
to say. Yeah.
Well, sometimes I'm also like, if it makes you feel better, and I've told some friends, is like, you can follow up again and be like, hey, did you get my last? If it's been like over a day, hey, just checking in, are you okay? Like, I didn't hear back from you because it could very well be that like for me, like I got overwhelmed and maybe I saw it and didn't like remember because like 10 other things happened this day. And so like I was like, okay, I'll reply to him later, and then I'm doing a bunch of stuff, and the next thing you know, I'm in bed because I'm exhausted and in the middle of the night, or like not in the middle of the night, like as I'm falling asleep, I'm like, oh, I didn't reply. Okay, I'll do it in the morning,
I'm
and then the
saying
next
one
morning,
follow-up. After that, it's
yeah,
annoying.
let's follow up. And then after that, like, don't like just leave it. What I have done is after one follow up, if I still haven't heard from them, what I do, because I'm a direct person and I don't appreciate being ghosted, I have a tendency to call people out. And not in like a, like F you, you're ghosting me. It's more of like, hey, I haven't heard from you in a week, and I'm not sure if you're still interested or not. If you are still interested, I understand like things can get busy and sometimes things fall off. Please let me know if you are still interested. Otherwise, I'm assuming that this is your lack of interest.
I wouldn't even do
And
that.
just kind of being like, that's it. Like, hey, I'm just following up because I haven't heard from you. If something happened, it's
Why do you care? If
understandable.
something happened, you're not the person in his life that he's going to turn to. He doesn't know
That,
you.
that is true. And so I'm just like, if you're still interested, please tell me. And if you're not, that
I
I'm
wouldn't even, because at this point, it's been a week of silence. You've been thinking about this for a week. I'm waiting to send this text.
that's
Absolutely
absolutely
not.
true. That's absolutely true. I have given that advice to friends though. Like if you really feel, because I've done it, and it's like if you really feel like you want to close this, or if
Yeah.
you really feel like you just want an end to it, like you can also be the one that like, hey, I haven't heard from you for a week, and so I'm gonna take this as you're not interested anymore. Um, and so like wishing you well.
But do that for you. Why do you wish him well? Again, you don't know this person. Why are you? We very much disagree on how to end things. I would say one of my red flags in a dating app is the negatives. Don't talk to me if you're this. Don't talk to me if you're not serious.
Oh,
Don't
yeah,
talk. Like, I don't like
yeah.
the negatives.
Don't talk to me if you don't like such and such team.
Yeah.
Okay.
So don't put the negatives out there.
Yeah.
And then also know that you are, it's like advertising yourself, right? So you should be using all of that space to quote unquote sell yourself
Yeah.
and making sure that the other person knows really all about you.
Yeah.
More so than like the attraction part, like I'm looking for blah 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 blah, because that's not how the apps are set up to work.
No. No, absolutely. I agree with you. I agree with you on that.
Okay, let's get into some of these spicy questions. All right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. We talked about visa status. Okay. What about the issue of being a guy who's trying really hard to keep a woman's interest over a long distance? It seems to be that it's diminishing over time, then eventually they lose interest, doesn't know what to do. Basically, this guy is saying that he can't seem to, he lives in a very remote location, so there's not a lot of Indian people where he lives. So he has to date online and he connects with women long distance, but it's not getting anywhere, essentially, I think what he's saying.
Yeah, I think and again, I'm going to speak to what I know I like and would prefer in the situations that I've been in terms of long distance is and this goes back to like you can't say the wrong thing to the right person of like in a long distance scenario, like if it's been about a month and we are talking consistently enough, and maybe have even thrown in a FaceTime or video chat or something like that, even if it's just like twice, um, make it known that like after X amount of time, I would really love for us to meet up in person. And I guess I would almost like I know I would like if it to be like, hey, okay, so this if this is going to be long distance, especially after like maybe three conversations, we're like, okay, cool, this is going well. I'd like to kind of continue to see where this is going. How would you feel about meeting up in about a month or so? Like if this still feels right, like in about a month, would you be open to talking about meeting up? It doesn't mean like in 30 days. It just means like in a month, let's bring this conversation up and figure out what's possible. Or maybe it's after a month, you're like, hey, how would you feel about now? It's been a month. how would you feel about meeting up? Because I'd really like to be able to meet you in person and see if we can take that next step. Because I know for me, I don't think I'd be able to like commit to a person until I've met them in person and we've had an in-person interaction, because that can be so different from online. And like just the genuine chemistry and that those vibes that you have with someone. And I think that also is what kind of contributes to like this whole like us as a society now. We do a lot of virtual events, and our teams, our teams at work are virtual, and there's a lot of virtual component, and sometimes it can be exhausting. So then it becomes like, oh, now I have my virtual boyfriend or girlfriend or this person that I'm talking to. And it becomes kind of like, I think it just kind of like muddles into things. So yes, it does take that extra effort, but like, again, I don't think you can say the wrong thing to the right person about like, how would you feel about meeting in person? Because I would love to get to know you, person to person, one on one in real time, and see if this is going to take off, because I would think that that person also wants that. That other person also wants that connection. And if they're like, no, you know what, I'm not feeling it, then it's not going to work. And again, you can't say the wrong thing to the right person, because if it were like me and it's been a month and the guy is like, hey, I'd love to meet you, do you think we can make something work? I'd be like, yes, thank God you're bringing it up. This is you showing me and telling me, hey, I'm interested in getting to know you more. And so I'm willing to bring up the conversation and make that effort to make sure I see you and that we have that connection.
I agree. So, from a date code perspective, I would tell this person very quickly on, right? FaceTimes have to happen. You are not getting anything out of texting some person for 15 days. There's just
You don't
nothing.
want you don't want a pen pal.
10 pounds, exactly. If a FaceTime is not happening with a week to 10 days, what are y'all doing?
Yeah.
Second thing about making time, even in long distance scenarios, right? In dating in general, I hate when people say, I'm very busy. I don't have time to meet you. If you want this person in your life, you will make time for them. So go back to their profile. What about them do you even like? Like, why are you engaging with them if
Yeah.
you don't want to make time for them?
Yeah. You're also not the only person who's busy.
Yes, thank you. Exactly. We all live lives. We all have
I got shit
priorities.
going on too.
Yeah. So
But
I
I
would
also
say,
want a husband. So like I'd make the time for you if you're gonna make the time for me.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's the second thing I would say. And the third thing is he's like, how do you keep your interest going? If it's not interesting, then why are you trying? If it's
Yeah.
like pulling teeth, if this is painful, dating should be fun. If it is work this hard just in the getting to know you phase, I don't want to get to know you. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. I have a big personality, clearly. So a lot of times when I go on dates, he's having a lot of fun because I'm super chatty. I'll ask a bunch of questions and I'll keep talking and all of that stuff. But then now I've left the date being like, well, I'm exhausted because all I did was talk and engage him in conversation. And now it felt like an interview because all I did was dress up real cute and then ask a bunch of questions, and didn't necessarily get enough questions asked back at me to be like, is he interested in me? So what I had start once I started to realize this, what I started doing was like, I asked like about three questions, and then I wait to see if he's going to ask me some questions. And if he doesn't, I will probably also be like, so you have no questions for me? Like, there's nothing that you want to particularly get to know me about? And then they go like, oh, well, do you have any siblings? And I'm like, oh my God, okay, yes,
And you heard
yeah,
nothing of what I had to say. That's the generic question you pulled out.
yeah, like okay. And so I have learned to kind of almost be like, okay, I'm going to show you who I am and my personality, and that's a great little taste. And then I'm going to be like, your turn. Show me who you are. Because if I
Another
show all, like if I show all of it all at once, it's going to be like drinking from a fire hose for you, where you're going to be like, wow, she's so fun and so energetic and all this big. I like that. And then I'm left being like, you did nothing for me, bub. So like now I don't want to see you again. I didn't really feel a spark. I didn't feel a connection. Like all I did was ask you a shit ton of questions, and I'm
another
exhausted.
mantra you can add to your list is be interested, not interesting. So you have to be interested, right? You have to pay attention and give into the conversation. It's fine if you're an introvert. Let that other person lead, but you have to show that you are paying attention and are invested in what they're saying.
Like it takes very little effort to answer a question and then be like, what about you? You know, you can still like, hey, like, what's your favorite hobby? Like, what do you like to do? And, at whatever on the
In
weekend.
psychology,
Oh,
they call it mirroring, right? You're supposed to do that when you're trying to build a bond. Parents do that with children. Same thing in relationships. You mirror your partner to
love it.
build a bond.
Love it. Yeah. It's like, oh, I do X, Y, and Z things. What about you? Do you like any of the things I mentioned, or what is it that you do? And then when they talk about what they did, find one of those things, be like, tell me more about that one thing. And then watch that person light up as they get really excited about why they like doing that one thing.
Yeah.
I feel like it's so simplistic that it's not thought of enough.
Agree, agree. I keep pulling up later daters because I'm researching it right now. If you guys follow my blog, it's going to be a topic coming up soon. But in that too, they said, oh, I lost my train of thought. I don't know where we're going with this. Anyway, okay. So our next spicy question, anonymous question, is around intimacy.
Okay.
For women, this is obviously, it can run the gamut, right? Like from completely open and doesn't matter, I'm happy to have sex on the first date, to, oh my God, I can't do it until marriage. How do you handle, right? Like maybe things are going great on a first date and you want him to lean in for a kiss. Maybe you're not there yet. What are cues? What are things? Let's hear your take on it.
Yeah, I have done the thing where like playing with my keys, walk me to my car. Okay, let's go in for the hug. And if I know I don't want to kiss, I might go in for the side hug and and specifically like keep my face in kind of like a particular angle or something like that, right? So like no one's trying to do anything. You can usually tell. I don't know, men, if you know this, but a girl can almost 99% of the time tell that you're trying to kiss her and you're thinking about it because you do something like a lingering hug and it's like 1 second longer than it really needs to be. And you're like, he wants to kiss me.
The
He's
face is a
thinking about
little too close.
it. Yeah. And like maybe when we part, you're like trying to be really close and I'm like, way, there's my car, and so like we know when you're trying to do it. And this might be a controversial thing. I personally think it's really cute when a guy is like, is it okay if I kiss you? Because I'm like, yes, thank you. Or I might say, you know what, I'm not really feeling it, but thank you for asking. I really do appreciate it. I think it's actually very, very cute. Unless it's like, I don't know. I can't even tell you what a clear sign is because everyone's consent levels are different. And so I don't want to go into like being like, if they give you the, if they like wink, like, I don't know. I think the it's a very cute and safe thing to be like, you look really nice. Is it okay if I kiss you? Or can I kiss you? Any iteration of that, I think is just very cute. I've had that be the instance. I've literally said bye to the person. We had the lingering hug, and he didn't make the move, and I was like, all right, whatever. And then I started to walk away, and he was like, I really wanted to kiss you. And I was like, you can if you still want to. And he was like, really? Because, oh no, he said, he was like, you don't kiss on the first date, do you? And I was like, I never said that. And he was like, could I kiss you then? And I was like, sure. And he came back from his car to kiss me, and it was actually really good. And I was like, he was like, I'm so glad I asked. And I was like, me too. I got a kiss at the end of the night. We didn't see each other's, I think we saw each other one more time. We went on a second date. And then from that, it was kind of like, man. Or no, actually, then he ended up talking about the kiss a little too much. And I was like, now I feel like that's all you really want. And that's kind of freaking me out a little bit.
So let's go
Um,
to that end of the spectrum. How
yeah,
can you tell if that's all they want?
and maybe this is, I don't know how good of advice this is, but I really have to say, trust your gut. Like your gut is never going to lie to you. And so this guy, like after like we made out a little bit, it was really nice. I was like, cool, I got a kiss at the end of it. I don't mind going out with him again. So we were talking back and forth and planning for another date. But he really just kept bringing up like wanting to kiss me again. And it felt like that was most of the times he talked, like most of the conversation was about how he wanted to kiss me again. And instead of it being, I'm sure he meant well. And I think he meant to be very like cutesy and endearing of like, can't stop thinking about you and that kiss. It was amazing. I'm going to need an extra kiss for like how long you made me wait for like, da-da. And I was like, okay, now I feel like you're doing it too much. And now I feel like that's all you want. And maybe it's not. And I can give you the benefit of the doubt in some way, but I need you to know that the way that you're telling me this is actually starting to make me uncomfortable.
The ick.
Yeah, I'm starting to get the ick from it. And so, like, I just don't feel like I want to see you a second time now because you just keep talking about this. And again, this may not be your intention, but this is how it's translating to me. And now it's uncomfortable. And I don't want to be going on a second date with someone wondering when they're going to kiss me and how much and too much and all this other stuff. Because then I'm not invested
Another
in the
reason why
relationship.
I hate text messaging in early on, like be cute and leave her a voice note. Can't stop thinking about, your like or
Say
whatever.
it
It's
once.
cuter to do it and once, yeah. But it's
Say
cuter
it
to do a voice note than this
once.
creepy text. Yeah.
Say it once. That's enough. You don't have to keep telling me every single time that, like, you can't wait to kiss me again. Like, I know it was good. I was there.
What if there is a scenario where, or have you had a scenario where it's like, just not yet, right? Like, there's no anything yet. I'm still feeling you out, and maybe I don't want to kiss on a first date. But then, how do you avoid then getting into the friend zone where now you're on date two or three, and now the guy's scared and he doesn't want to try to be intimate again? Like, how do you flip that or manage that end of it?
Yeah, I'm trying to think if that is a scenario I've been in where I'm like, not right now, but maybe later. Um, I don't think I've ever done that with a kiss, but I have done that with dating in general, where I'm like, no, I'm good. Like maybe we kissed because you asked me and I was like, that's cute, fine. But then I'm like, oh, I don't want to actually date you though. But then we become friends. And then the next thing you know, I'm like, well, that kiss was pretty awesome. And now we're really just getting along. And maybe I can't stop thinking about the kiss personally. And then I'm like, okay, so I know I said I didn't want to date, but I think I miss you when we don't talk. And so I might want to revisit that topic and maybe talk about dating each other. Like, I know what I said, and I said it for maybe these reasons and explain myself that maybe I just right now I'm just trying to take a break or I want this freedom or whatever or like maybe I'm really busy whatever, but it's also like, well, now I'm really thinking about this, and if I want you, I'm going to let you know, I'm going to communicate that to you and let be upfront about it so that you're also not left guessing or not being strung along. Like I'm just going to be like, hey, I might want to walk back the fact that I don't want to date you, and because it wasn't a you thing, it was a me thing, and like, I had my reason, but I think we're really getting along, and so I think I want to try this out. Are you okay with that? And
We talked about timing.
every,
90% of dating's
and
timing.
I think a lot of relationship in general, dating relationship issues can be just resolved with a clear conversation. And if they're not giving you the answer that you would like to have, goodbye.
Yeah.
Someone else is going to give you the answer that you want. And it's better to wait for that rather than like settle for someone who's like, I mean, I didn't love that answer, but I'm just going to overlook it for now. Save
So
yourself.
trust your gut. It's okay to change your mind.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. I would say to address her question specifically, we had this recently with the coaching client as well, where she was very nervous about it, like even like holding hands. It took her date two to get to that level,
Mm,
and kissing and moving forward. So here's what I would say to this person is intimacy doesn't always equal sex. There are other ways to show that you are attracted to somebody. Up your flirting game, light touching. I'm a huge fan of at dinner. Put your hand on his hand, right? Like there are comfortable ways to be intimate, to build that connection. Men always take your cue from women. Don't assume anything. It's better to always ask in a cutesy, fun, playful way, or, just take your cue from women. But women also, how are they supposed to know you like them?
yeah,
And if you want to have children, you're going to have sex. So eventually, this all has to be figured out, but on your comfort level and your timeline. I'll just say that.
absolutely. I did do some intimacy like work on myself, and not from again a sexual perspective. It was like, what is holding me back from being okay with someone else showing me certain levels of intimacy, like massaging my feet, and I'm like, I didn't ask for this. And he's like, is it okay? Can I massage your feet? And I'm like, yes, that's very nice. Thank you. You know, a forehead kiss, hand holding, cuddling up, like and watching a movie. Like those are all still forms of intimacy that are not sexual that for me, I had to actually come around to and be like, oh, this is actually really nice when you just like stop worrying about it so much. And what it might, if it might mean something more, like just enjoy the thing that it is. And if you don't enjoy it, be like, you know, I actually don't really love that, but maybe we can try this other thing. Like, you know, and that can apply for like a sexual thing too. Of like, oh, okay, like I'm not super into that, but I can talk about some other things that I would be into if you're open to that conversation. So 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 there, yeah, trying to figure out what level you're comfortable with is obviously really important. And so doing that intimacy work for me was a big deal, even of just being like, hey, I want you to hold my hand. Can you come hug me right now? Because I just need it.
Yeah.
And that is also just like asking for the level of intimacy that you want in that moment, and being comfortable with it. And especially even this includes rather, even if you're upset about something like, hey, can you like hold my hand while we talk about this argument that we had, or like, you know, you were late, I made this whole dinner and I really want us to enjoy it together, and then you ended up having dinner outside and like it kind of just upset me. um and you know, it's like it just upset me and I just want to hug and I just want you to kiss me on the forehead about it and tell
Yeah.
me like you'll look it up to me.
Yeah. I love it.
I,
There's other ways. Yeah.
yeah, and that can really open up intimacy as well.
Yeah. If there's other questions, definitely please put them in the chat. But we got one from a repeat, basically saying, how do they see men confidently yet sensitively date? And he said, in my words, hyper independent or alpha females. Like, how are they supposed to handle dating us?
um um I would I would recommend men watching Nobody Wants This, because the character Noah does show it where he just sticks around, and not in like the annoying, it's not in an annoying way stick around. I'm not talking Bollywood films keep annoying the shit out of a woman until she's finally like, actually, so beautiful. So okay, like let's be, you know,
Let's get
whatever. Like,
married.
yeah, like no, that wearing down a woman is not the answer. It's just kind of sticking around and kind of being like, I see you for who you are, and I'm starting to understand who you are. And by realizing these things, and it may mean, you know, maintaining that level of interest, but also maybe like holding off on judgment or reservations and just saying, let me see who this person is. That's the whole point of dating, right? Getting to know that person. And so if I, as a hyper independent woman, am showing you who I am and how I like to take care of a lot of things, and you're like, you're starting to notice them being like, I see that you do these things. And I'm just wondering where they come from. And would you allow me to hold the door open for you? Can I pay for dinner? Can I, you know, whatever? Like, can I hold your hand? Can I give you a kiss? Like, would you be comfortable with me like walking you up to your door? I'm not going to try to come in, but I would love to walk you to your door because I want to be that gentleman. And it's also, you have to like really want to be that, not for like, not because like I told you to. It has to be something that like I want to show you that like I care and I see you for who you are, and I'm fine with who you are. I also just want to be part of your world and part of your life. And so I want to help make your life easier by being there for you. So tell me how I can be there for you because I want to be there. And I think that's the best thing you can tell maybe a hyper independent woman who maybe didn't even realize that that's all she needed to hear. Like, I see who you are and I love that. I also want to help you. I want you to stay the same, but I want to be part of it. Will you let me be part of it? Oh, yeah, of
Without
course.
swooping in and trying to be the hero, not like let me do this for you, right? It's like like you said, let me be a part of it. That Nobody Wants This is such a good example because he sees something in her that he likes and he wants to get to know. And he also sees that she's self-sabotaging. He's not forceful, he's not annoying. But let's take it out of the Hollywood context, okay? Let's bring it into real life. I think you also have to know as a man, like, is this woman somebody that I see qualities in for a part? You can't just fight this fight with every alpha woman because not every woman out there is
You
for
wouldn't.
you from other aspects as well. But if you see that, hey, I really like her work in nonprofits is so passionate, like if I give her the chance to let her walls down, we can vibe on this, then yeah, then it's worth pursuing in a healthy way. But if it's like, she's just this beautiful chick that I met online that I'm just want to get to know, nah, that's probably not the person for you.
Yeah, no, definitely not. There's definitely an element of just like genuinely getting to know that person because you see something in them that you're like, I like this. I went on a date with someone like years ago who I didn't know he was noticing certain things. So when he called it back out to me, I was like, oh, wow, that's really nice. And it was something like we took a walk somewhere and ended up at like a hotel lobby that was like really cutely decorated or something like that. And I think it was a Friday or something like that. And some kids were like, hey, we're not allowed to like touch the lights. And so do you mind turning on or turning off the lights for us in our room or something like that? And it was some Jewish children who, and it was like Shabbat, like whatever, and they can't touch whatever. Sorry, I'm like, don't, I'm not really updated on Jewish terms, but like they couldn't, like, they
Yeah.
couldn't touch electricity
Yeah.
for the day. And so I was like, yeah, sure. Like, I'm like, it's some kids, like, no problem. They're not going to con me. Like, I'm not believing the worst in children. And so I'm like, yeah, sure, no problem. And I'm on a date with this dude. And I didn't even ask him, like, is this okay? I was like, yeah, absolutely. And like, they brought us up to the room and they were like, that's the switch or that's the lamp or whatever it was they did. I don't even remember the full context of it. And so I did, and I was like, okay, y'all are good. Great. Okay, well, have a good night. And he was like, that was so nice. And I see how you are with children. And that's just so lovely. Yeah. And I'm just like, well, damn.
Mm.
I was just being myself. I didn't ask for anybody's permission. And I was just being myself. And this guy's like, wow, look at like he just noticed this and that's what he picked up from this whole thing was that like you're really great with kids and you're just so nice and you like, you weren't like this is a weird ask like, kind of like I don't know, like you're just two random kids like also like I'm a stranger to you, like don't you know stranger danger? Like, kind of like I could have fought the whole thing on various different levels, but I didn't. And I was like, yeah, sure, absolutely. I'm gonna help some kids out with
But
some
this is
kind
why we date, right? Because there's so much more to people than the interview questions or what you see on the bio on an app. When you're in the real world, interacting, having experiences, you can read body language, you can get tone, you see how they interact with different types of people. You will learn so much more on one date than a month of text message conversation in that long distance scenario, whoever
Yeah,
asked that question.
absolutely, absolutely. And I've even gone so far as to be like, try to give as long as there's no glaring red flags, try to give someone 2 dates. Because not everybody always makes the best first impression. Sometimes people do get nervous and sometimes so like unless you're really, really like, oh no, not this person. Like if there's nothing glaringly bad about them, just give it a second date just to be like, let me just see. Let me
Date
just
them
see
till
what
you hate
happens
them.
yeah, just let me just see what happens on the second date because maybe the second date is freaking phenomenal. Or maybe the second date is just as like blah as the first one. You're like, all right, well, now I have given it like another chance. And it's like, well, it's not. Maybe you don't. And then you're like, I don't want to do a third date with this person. And I think that's almost more fair than just giving it like a one and done.
Yeah. We have one more anonymous question. Friends in the chat, definitely please put them in. We're losing people like flies.
Well,
So
these
if
are
you have
people, but
something
it's been a
spicy
while and
anonymous.
it's fair.
Okay. So this anonymous question says, I'm newly single after 7 years. What advice would
Congratulations. Sorry.
what advice would you give about enjoying being single and living your best life as a single person and keeping yourself busy, optimistic, and hopeful? Great question.
First of all, friend, I want to give you a hug. This is my virtual hug to you. Welcome to the tribe. It is not as bad as aunties make it seem it is. Um, Being single is lovely. You can do whatever the F you want, however you want, whenever you want. If you don't want to, if like I live by myself and if I don't want to clean my place today, I'm not going to clean my place today. And there's nobody else being like, this place is a mess. Shut up. Nobody's here. You know, I can literally, if I don't want to cook today, I'm going to order in. Nobody's telling me like, what to do, what to say, and I don't have to take anybody else's anything into consideration, right? That's not to say I don't want that life or I'm not willing to have that life or I'm not willing to be that person. I'm in here and now and today just being like, I can go to Mexico tomorrow. As long as I have the money and the freedom to do like, I have the freedom to do whatever I want. And so I can do whatever I want tomorrow without having to be like, I gotta make sure the kids are this and the husband is that and the blah blah. And like, bye, I'm going to Mexico. Like I can do whatever I want. And there is something so delightfully freeing about that I don't feel like enough, and I'll speak to Desi women, grasp onto because they get so worried about this lo que henge and the timeline of like, well, I'm 30 and I'm still single, or I thought I was going to be with this person, and I'm just using that as an example because you just said you were in a 7-year relationship and it ended, and I'm sorry about that, but like, there's a reason for it, right? If it was supposed to happen, it would have happened, divine timing. For whatever reason, it did not happen, and so what can you do to enjoy your life now? Do everything for yourself and yourself only, not because your parents want it, not because your boyfriend wants it, not because your best friend wants it, not because, kind of try to drown out the noise. And it's very possible that everyone around you is probably getting engaged, getting married, having a baby, having a second baby. Like I've got all these friends around me. But for me, it's just not, this is not the time. And one of the things that, if anybody's in a similar situation as me, where like everyone, it feels like everyone around you is at like that next stage, next stage, next stage, and you're not there, think about how when it comes to you, you're going to be the only friend in that stage, and everybody has to be around you being like, we've been waiting for years for Amrutha to get married. Finally. And it's going to be like 2, 3, 4 times the excitement because it's been such a journey kind of thing. So that's another thing about that. But just embrace what your life is today and now, and that you can do everything and anything that you want, even if that means next month you want to date, you want to try dating, or maybe you just want to have some fun for right now, which can, your interpretation of fun. I'm gonna leave it to that. But you can do whatever you want, whatever makes you feel happy and comfortable. And I would say, like, make sure you find your joy. One of the things I like to say about dating is that I'm not looking for another half. I don't want anybody to complete me. I am a full person, and I have worked very hard on being my happiest self as a solo person. I am ready to share all this happiness and joy that I radiate with someone else, someone who's also going to contribute to my joy. Because at the end of the day, no man is responsible for making me happy. I am responsible for making me happy. I would love it for a man to encourage that or uplift that happiness and be like, I am so happy to see you happy. Great. And he's like, and I want to contribute to the happy. Even better. And if I'm sad or I've done something and like life's not working out for XYZ reason, we want him to be like, or like I would want him to be there to be like, how can I help make your day a little bit better, a little bit brighter, and not like pile on or add to it, right? So like we wouldn't want a man to make our life sad. So we shouldn't want necessarily a man to make our lives happy. It should just be like, I am doing that for me, and I want you to be part of this ride. I want you to be there with me when the happy things happen and then be happy for me. So all of that.
Bear witness to my life. I have some concrete advice. After 7 years, there is a lot to process and a lot to go through. Currently, in conjunction with Dilmil, I put out a 21-day path to healing journey. We have a coaching client who's recently going through a breakup. I've had her do this exercise. So I'm telling you as well, friend, 10 minutes a day, just do it. We're on day 9, so catch up. But the whole series is designed around let's let's talk about what happened, like put it on paper, address what went good, what went wrong, right? Because it wasn't 7 years amazingness and now you're a hollowed out shell of a person. You're still you, and there's still some good and bad that we can pull from that. The middle 7 days are all about How do we like make accept that and then figure out our current state and our current goals and what that is? And then the last 7 days is how to get you back into your forward looking journey, whether that be dating. I mean, that series is focused more on dating, but there's other things in there as well. So, friend, I'm telling you, 10 minutes a day, go through those 21 days of activity. Just from my perspective for you, 7 years is a very long time. Kind of what Amrutha said, take this time to get to know who you are now. I would say figure out not what you missed over the last 7 years, but what were opportunities that maybe you didn't take or things that you put to the side because of the relationship. Don't blame the man, none of that, but because I was in a relationship, maybe I didn't move to this city at that time. Right? Anything, just start jotting these notes down and it'll give you an indication of kind of like, okay, this is where I'm at now. These are things that maybe I want to do. That'll give you your focus. You mentioned how to be happy during this time of being single. That's going to give you your focus. And then
Yeah,
lastly,
exactly.
yeah, go ahead.
No, no, finish, please.
I was gonna say, lastly, you guys know how I feel about breaks. I do not like breaks. I think that like if you're not looking for it, you're not gonna find it. So have a clear, defined goal. Obviously, I'm not saying after 7 years you get back on the mill and start swiping, but do you need a year? Do you need 9 months? And if that's the case, what are you gonna do? What and if it's not a timeline based thing, what do I need to get at in my personal well-being to know that I'm ready to start again? If you don't have that like kind of timeline put together, I can't tell you how many 38, 40, 45-year-old women come to me and say, I wish I had figured this out sooner. So I'm just giving you from that perspective. Breaks have a purpose, but make sure you have a goal in mind as well. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, 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 I didn't mean to cut you off because you were still speaking. I was just going to say that this relates back to the point that I made earlier about like um moving forward with decisions that like now. Like we don't make the same choices every single day for, our entirety of our lives. We learn lessons and we make different types of decisions in the future with the knowledge that we gain. So you have the freedom to make different kind of choices now that don't relate back to your relationship. So, and that ties into like, make any choice that you want that contributes to your happiness. Like, you want to know how to be happy? If spending $100 on a pair of shoes seems absolutely ridiculous, but it's going to make you happy, just do it. As long as you feel comfortable about it financially. Otherwise, like, splurge, go get it, treat yourself. Like,
Treat yourself. Yeah.
do the little things that will make you happy because that's going to contribute to your mental health so much more than the rationale of why you can't. Even when I was at my most broke, the one thing I gave myself was getting my nails done because that was the thing that I was like, I like getting my nails done. They make me happy. And so and it's also nobody else's business what I spend even if I only have a little money, what I spend my money on. And so I'm like, that's the one thing I'm carving out. I can cut down on everything else. But the one thing I'm going to carve out for myself is like whatever the 50, $60 to get my nails done once a month. And even if it means I have to keep it really simple and no fanciness or whatever, like whatever fits that budget. But that's the one thing that I'm like, it's going to make me still feel like me and make me feel happy. I'm just going to do it because I want to do it. And it's a small thing and it makes me happy. And I just want to be happy, even if everything else feels kind of like it could be better.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. Being happy, you have to enjoy the process, enjoy the journey,
Live
right?
your
Yeah.
life.
I have one question that I thought of, and then we can end on this.
Sure.
People always ask me, and I did a pre-interview for a podcast that I'm going to be on next week. But one of the
Okay.
questions he asked me was like, "What's your number one dating advice for people? Like, your number one as a date coach?" And my number one dating advice is join a gym. I'll tell you why, and then
Um,
I'd like to hear your perspective on it. Every man, woman, whoever I talk to, the number one quality they talk about in themselves or finding a partner is I need somebody who's active, who's healthy, who like, demonstrated active lifestyle. Like, and so
mhm.
let me ask you, have you seen this when you're out on these apps and meeting people? And then how do you handle it when it's like it's a dog whistle or coded language for like, I want skinny, pretty girls?
Um, um, so what was that first part about like how do I handle like if someone's like, oh, I want someone active and like fit and all this other stuff?
Or are you seeing that? How are you reacting to profiles? Am I just over skewing it on my end?
I That's really great because I can also even tie this into the fact that I've had very many body image issues growing up. Um, and now finally being like, I think it's more in my head than what anybody has ever probably said to me about my body. I had one in all my years of dating, and just like men in general, only one person has really said anything about my body that was negative. And everyone else is like, somebody once called me skinny, and I was like, thank you. And I was like, I don't think I'm skinny. And they're like, well, you're not fat, so I don't know what else you think you are. And I was like, I think I'm fat. I'm like, I have fat, I have rolls, I have thick thighs, I have wide hips, I have back fat. And they're like, yeah, but you're not like fat. And so I was like, wow, that's really telling me that it's really just mostly in my head. So when it comes to guys being like, oh, I want someone fit, or even a woman, like, I mean, even I would be like, yeah, like I want someone who is just like generally active. Like, show me, like, even if you're just like riding your bike or like you play tennis or like you do something to like keep that heart pumping, because I would like to know that like you're going to be healthy and like live a healthy life without me
Diabetes
having
is
to,
gonna happen.
yeah,
Sugar.
without me being like, you should run more. Like, like I'm not going to be that kind of woman in your life. Sorry. I don't want to be that person. So I think when it comes to those, like, oh, I want someone really fit and it means skinny, if that's what they mean and you're not skinny, goodbye. Because you like if you don't want to be skinny, like I think I have no business being stick skinny. Like if I
It
really
would
wanted
never
to achieve
happen for me. Yeah.
if I want to achieve it, I could be on Ozempic and whatever until like all that's left is skin and bone. But I also like I don't know who I am without a fupa. So like, you know what I mean? So I'm just kind of like I've learned to accept, and it's not that I'm like saying that I super love my body every day. It's this neutrality of like, well, I like to eat. I'm not going to punish food for it. I acknowledge that like that doesn't mean eat cake and ice cream every day. And that there's an element of health, literal health to it, not health meaning skinny. And also, I do get a good adrenaline rush from a good workout, and I like lifting weights. And I hate running. Um, so like when my coupled friends are like, "Oh my God, join a run club," because I'm like, I would rather die than join a run club because I hate running. And I don't, why would I do that to myself? Why would I subject myself to a running club if I hate running? I would rather like go to a gym and work out there. And if someone talks to me, and then that's a thing. So, like, going back to the like joining a gym. Now, I think we also live in a time where like not everybody goes and approaches someone else. And that's really complicated. I haven't experienced, like, I've been to multiple gyms in my lifetime, and I haven't been confronted in a gym or approached in a gym because I think a lot of people these days are just like listening to their music and kind of zoned in and focused and all this other stuff. And I think it can be a lot if you're trying to ask for that attention by like wearing the cute, skimpy whatever and being like, let me do my like, butt exercises right in front of you. Like,
That's
don't do
not what I
that
mean
because
by
that, yeah, don't do that because that's not obvious. I just, it feels like it's an obvious thing. Like, don't do that because then you're just asking for like weird attention, and that
yeah.
can also be a turn off because it's too thirsty. Um, but I have personally never been approached at a gym, but I had a friend who married a guy that walked up to her in a gym and was like, I think you're doing that wrong, which is also annoying if I'm being honest.
Yeah, mansplaining. No, my point more so is there is a community that forms at the gym. Even though you have your headphones on, right? My gym, as an example, they have hit classes, like or like a
Mhm.
360 with whatever, right? You have to
Yeah,
sign up for those, right? So
yeah.
if you're going to the 7:30 class 3 days a week, you're going to be with the same people over and over again. Okay. Two, my gym has amenities. Even if I'm not going to work out, I will hit the sauna and I'm seeing people. I'm saying hello to the front desk clerk. I'm building community. People are witnessing my existence. And then lastly, there's a membership component. So once a month, they have member socials. Show up
Oh,
and
that's
eat a
nice.
bagel. Say hello.
Yeah, that's nice. I personally haven't gone to any of those socials. I go to Orange Theory, and I know that they have them, but sometimes I don't find out about them until like that day. Like I go to the class and they're like, and stick around, later tonight we're all gonna meet at blah blah blah. And I'm like, oh well, I already have plans. So like, or like this was not part of my plan, so like I'm not gonna go. But I know that they exist. And so like if you sign up for a gym that does have that, use the resources, use what's ahead of like what's around you. I personally signed up for a social club.
That's
And
another one.
there's a membership to it.
Yeah.
And I'm paying the membership fees. I'm trying it out. I'm trying something new. I'm trying something different. They did a little interview process of like, okay, what are you looking for in this? And I was like, well, in general, I'm looking to meet new people. And it would be really nice if I met a partner as a result. Um, it turns out that there are a lot of women doing the same thing. So far, I've been to like three socials in the past 2 months, and there's only been one dude at all of them. So, to
Yeah.
be seen, there's a couple more months ahead of me. But maybe it will happen, maybe it won't. But one thing that is happening is that I'm making female friends. And you never know when those female friends have other people that they can introduce you to because you attended their birthday or you went to go grab some food with them and they saw someone else that they know. And all of a sudden you're like, oh, that's
Well, and the biggest thing is loneliness. So if you're out here and you're using dating as a way not to be lonely, go make new friends. Amrutha, you might have seen me earlier cringing when you said, when it's my turn, all my married people are going to be like, oh my God, we're excited for you. That's not the case. That's definitely not the case. And please don't wait for
you guys
that.
are just like too
Instead,
busy.
I would recommend go out and make new friends. I'm not saying that old friends have to go away, but the
Mhm.
Girl Scout song, right? One is silver, one is gold. There's nothing wrong with finding people in the same headspace and zone that you're in and
That's
forming new relationships and friendships.
that's true. I
They'll
definitely
all be
didn't
at your
mean
wedding.
that's true. I definitely didn't mean that like all only those friends. Like what I have done is actually at the last single to shot the event that I went to, walked away with no guys, but have like two of my closest friends. One of them was even on this call earlier and she already dropped, which is fine. Because she was like the first person to sign up for it. But like these are the people that I hang out with all the time now because we're all single and we're all in the same headspace and want to do things and are helping each other and encouraging each other, and it's really nice. And I do have other single friends that live around me, but for other reasons they live further away or they have different priorities right now because we're the insert reason here. And so for me it was really helpful for me to be like, cool, I'm going to go to these things and find other women who are also in the same place as me, both geographically and mentally in their lives. Because and again, it is absolutely zero hate to like any of my other friends or my older friends. I just started to realize that like, oh, I seem to be spending a lot of time by myself. And it's not that I don't want to do things, it's that when I ask friends if they want to do things with me, they all have their own reasons as to not to. So then I'm like, well, then I need to find a new group of people who wants to do things with me. Otherwise, I'll never do things. Or I'm always doing things by myself and there's nothing wrong with doing things by myself. I've done it a lot. But sometimes it's like, I'd like to have some people with me for this. Like, does anybody not want to share in this joy?
Yeah,
Like, I had this idea and I want to do this thing. Does not anybody not want to come? And then also following through and actually showing up to things because I have a lot of flaky friends as well. I love them. They have their place, but sometimes I'm like, I know they're not going to show up.
yeah, exactly. And I think it just gets back to the community aspect of it, right? Loneliness is such a big problem in this country or, in this time that we live in.
Yeah.
And we just, I think with our population, we look to dating to plug the hole. And that's why we get into these pen pal relationships with people that we're never going to see in real life. And, because
Yeah.
we're lonely. So,
Yeah, I used to see on like Bumble a lot that like, or if like I would connect with someone, they're like, I'm just trying to make friends. And I'm like, why are you on a dating app then?
or they'll say, I'm looking for my best friend. Your partner really shouldn't be your best friend. There's a
I
role for,
agree.
yeah.
I agree. They can be a friend. They should be your friend.
And no,
A
they're your partner. There's
boyfriend,
a different
girlfriend.
relationship. A friendship
Yeah,
is a different relationship. Of course, I'm going to share everything with my partner, but in a different way than I would with my friend.
absolutely. I completely agree with that.
Amrita, we're at the end of our 2 hours. Wow. Oh my gosh,
Oh
time
my
flew
God,
by. I
yeah.
had so
Hour
much fun
45
chatting
so
with you.
far. Yeah.
So, kind of, let's wrap all this up, this conversation.
Let's
This
tie it
is
up in a
your
bow.
page, your story, what you do. But as a takeaway, like, what does Curry Bradshaw want the dating community out here to know?
A lot is just self-empowerment, honestly. Like, if you are the best self that you know you can be, you will attract all the right things. Because we talked about like doubting people, we talked about like, you know, fear of intimacy and that emotional intimacy or not knowing how to approach that. So if you find all the reasons and all the things that make you comfortable, as an individual and as a person and feel as empowered as you can be as you, then I think you will inherently know what you're looking for, know what you're not looking for, know, you know, what your gut is trying to tell you and all these things. So my goal or all I want to do is like let women know they're not alone, even if it is a journey that like we can all go on this journey together. And that's why I just started talking about my own journey. I'm like, I can't be the only woman, I can't be the only Daisy woman who is 30 something years old going through this journey. And so going back to being really genuine, it's just like I'm just putting everything out there in good faith, and whoever this is supposed to reach, it will reach. Like there could be haters out there being like, I don't believe her, I think she's making up stories. Okay,
Yeah.
okay, fine. You think I'm making up stories, then this is not for you. But if you do feel and see that I'm being genuine, which I am, then it's gonna resonate with you, and you're gonna feel that, and you're gonna say like, "Cool, I really like her stories, or I like the way that she talks, or even though she does drone on forever and has a long-winded answer, it's endearing." And I'm like, "Great, then like stick around and listen to me drone on some more." You know,
Well,
or not. Like keep like that's okay. It's okay. And it's like and again to tie it some more bows, look at it like if it's not for you and you don't like it, that's okay. I don't need necessarily your approval because I am confident and I know that whatever I'm doing is with my purest of intent and I'm comfortable with whatever it is I'm doing and I'm putting out and I am saying. And so I feel as empowered as I can possibly be for myself because I have done the work, done therapy, the workbooks, self help books. I've done it all, even if it's pieces and pieces of each thing. But I've done it, and I'm really proud of my growth and my journey and my development. And so, you know, it is possible. You know, a couple years ago, I was super pessimistic. Even last year, I was like, men suck. All of them suck. F all of them. And then that's what I'm saying that I got to dating some people, and even though it was just fun, they really helped me change my perspective of like, there are good men out there. And if they wanted to, they will. There will be someone who will give you the answer that you're looking for. So like you just have to believe that it good is out there and you will get it. Because if you keep dating with the intent that like, ugh, all these men are the worst, like they all suck, that's all you're gonna attract is the men that you're gonna be like, what is wrong with these men? What's wrong is kind of your mindset, and you keep attracting men for the wrong reason, maybe just for the story, maybe just for the plot. Which is what I felt like I was doing when I first started my journey as Curry Bradshaw. Of like, first it was just a lot of dates for funny stories. I mean, like, can you believe this other guy is like, da, da, da. Then eventually, when I did take the break and then go back to things, and I was like, huh, I met a really nice guy. This is an interesting journey. Let's see what happens. And then it taught me about myself. So that's kind of like all of it kind of wrapped up and you know taken through the whole circle again of like it really just comes down to yourself and your empowerment. If you believe that good and better is out there and that the timeline that is meant for you is correct and you're in the right space, everything will fall into place at the right time and you'll be happier for it because you'll start to realize, oh, this had to happen for this to happen, for this to happen, for this to happen, for me to have my happily ever after.
yeah. So follow her on Instagram, Curry Bradshaw, Shah. You can follow her, the link to the post in our Instagram. Watch the videos, Mr. Salsa Guy and Mr. DJ.
Also, guy and Mr. DJ.
Okay, so I definitely am gonna watch those. With Gersh, just plugged your Instagram again, and then I'll just leave you guys with if you're out here looking to get help on the dating apps, Single to Shadi has an audit feature. We can meet with you. We can just make sure that your apps look good, go through some of your recent matches, give you advice. Obviously, if you sign up for matchmaking, we do a lot more in-depth hand-holding with the matches that we send your way. And then we also have other kind of coaching out there. If you're looking for a buddy through the process, we have really good success. We can only take a handful of people because there's only three coaches right now, but it's definitely worth the one-on-one attention. So you might have heard us talking about it. If you have any questions, reach out to Utkarsh or myself. But with that, I just want to say again, Amrutha, thank you so much for your time and
Thank
sharing all your
you.
stories with the audience today. I know there's a lot of big things happening for you in the future, and we cannot wait to follow along.
And thank you all for also everyone who's kind of stuck through to the bitter end. I appreciate it. I really do. Like sticking around. And that's no shade to anybody who did leave. I get it. We all have lives. Um, but I really appreciate this time, Radha, and thank you for giving me this like little space to just talk to people.
Excellent. Awesome. Have a good night, everybody. Bye bye.
Good night, everyone.